I promise not everybody in Poland sounds like me. Hey, my name is Vander Puchert, and this is Finding Frequency. Whew, still struggling with this reoccurring kind of flu thing. It just doesn't want to go away. And I know Francie is also going in and out of it, coughing again this morning a little bit. And to such an extent that we are actually considering not sending him to the kindergarten tomorrow. I think it's this like cesspool of viral incubation that happens in these kindergartens. Kids, they're actually dirty little monsters, aren't they? Anyway, let me not put you off children. Well, if you are a parent, you're probably off children a long time ago, unless they left home. Hey, mom. So, yeah, lots of things going on. But also kind of like a little bit in a bit of a haze because I'm living currently in this little box of fuzz, which annoys Marta because she's full steam ahead, doing things. Marta doing things. So a couple of topics. One is a good one is a bad one. Just a small little update. And this is kind of how my day goes, these ups and downs. 3 actual updates. 2 of them not great. The other one is kind of a change in my life happening right at this moment, and I haven't been able to really talk about it. So the one is that our border situation is still ongoing. There's still a curtain of kind of no information, not a lot coming through. However, Marta told me this morning that they did find the body of a Nigerian man somewhere in one of the forests where he died from exposure. And then a little kid, 4-year-old, I think, went missing and was found. And for some reason, the Nigerian man kind of hit close to home for me a little bit. Marta was crying again this morning. In a way that we feel so kind of powerless about this. The Nigerian man kind of hit home a little bit because recently I did a kind of mentorship program where I did this boot camp and I mentored a bunch of people through some design courses, irrelevant for this. But in that group was a guy from Nigeria. And to be honest, what a human being. What a great person. It took me years also to look past skin color and really kind of trying to gain some kind of empathy. And remember, empathy is not feeling sorry for someone. It's trying to understand and appreciate the differences that we all have. This guy came from Nigeria with nothing. He wanted to build himself a new life in the UK. And now he's kind of worked his way into, I think he works for one of the big high-end brands where he helps people get custom suits. He's a retailer. He is the best in the department. People come to him for advice when it comes to sales because he's so focused. I've seen this because you might say, but he's telling you this, Vander. I've seen his work and he's never satisfied. And it sounds like heroic, but it's also very tough to be like that because he's his own worst critic. He wants to push himself to be the best all the time. Man, it's tough to be in that situation where you want to prove yourself all the time. And this is the kind of people that we are allowing to die in forests, people who want to be the best in our society. And it's not good. It's not good. Hopefully a bit more on that later. Then I spoke to a friend of mine in passing. We were actually sharing a joke, and then he dropped a heavy load on my shoulders. That's the wrong thing to say because it's not really a heavy load on my shoulders. I'm not carrying this load. He is carrying it. He's going through quite a tough personal situation in his family where things are getting shaken up, and it's tough because I know him, he's a friend, and I know how dearly he loves his family. And yeah, 2021 has given another gut punch, shaking everything up for him, where he now needs to reassess everything, rethink everything that he's valued, and make a change in his life. Well, no matter what happens, there is going to be a change. And I know that he was really happy with what he had. And maybe the learning there is that, and I know he did this, so it's not a Not something that I would say to him necessarily, but appreciate what you have because nothing lasts forever. And I've experienced that myself this year. And so a couple of my own friends and dear family members. So that's a tough one to think about. And I can't help him much. I've had my own personal troubles related to something similar back in my youth. But his context is completely different, and he's going to have to go through it. The only thing I can do is hopefully be a bit of a distraction if he needs it and talk nonsense. Yeah, that's a good thing that I'm really good at doing that, talking nonsense. Now, here's the big one. Something that I wanted to be talking about here, but haven't had a chance, or I felt uncomfortable talking about it here because, there's a few sensitive elements around it, and I had to speak to a few people before I publish it on the internet. But yeah, so a fair amount of the work and conversation that I've had here is really focused around entrepreneurship and doing things for yourself and building yourself and building your own business. And when I strictly look at my business over the last 3 years, it's been 3 years. 2021 has been a tough year, but it's also been revenue-wise and financially the best year I've ever had, thanks to one big-ass project that came through. I also came to a point where I realized that, as I probably mentioned here, that I have to start focusing on 2022. That's what you do as an entrepreneur. But then also, a lot of things kind of played out. I think Jeff's passing earlier the year in August really shook things up for me a little bit. I still don't know what is the connection between Jeff and this, but I know it's had a role to play. Also changes for Marta, changes with Pink Palace coming through. And so long story short, from the 1st of January, well, not entirely the 1st, but from January, I will be an employee again. Now, the other thing that I want to say is that the job opportunity or the employment opportunity that came across my table is something that I'm really excited about. It's exciting because it's for a brand that I really want to work for. It's a brand that kind of aligns with some of the content that I've been creating over the 3 years that I've been busy with doing what I'm doing as an entrepreneur. There's a strong entrepreneurial element to it. I've met all the people that I'm going to be working with, and they are super dynamic. It's exciting. And of course, now that I'm sitting in the middle of, trust me, I'm in the middle of being checked criminally for all my misdeeds that I've done in the past, because it's a United States company and there's all kinds of ways that they get a South African from Poland to work for them. So they need to check and make sure that I'm not dodgy. Well, not too dodgy. Then qualifications, medicals, bank stuff, all kinds of things. And I got to a point today where it kind of really overwhelmed me. Not the amount of work, like I'm not scared of work, but it's really intense to think that I'm going to be stepping into a formal organization again. And I'm going like, what have I done? What have I done? But then on the flip side, I'm so excited to be working with folks again. Also with the organization is fundamentally set up to work remotely. So most of the team, there is no office. It's just people working in the situation that we are in now. So there's element of stability, element of creativity and excitement. And I'm really excited about this opportunity. I'm going through flurries of like nervousness, excitement, uncertainty. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm really kind of like a elastic, getting stretched out, getting poised, getting ready for the release so that I can attack this and go on this journey. But I know myself. I know there's going to be frustrations along the way because I'm a grumpy old fart. And I just need to not let my grumpiness from time to time bleed through to the team, because the grumpiness is sometimes just sense of humor also coming through, and not everybody gets old Van's sense of humor. But that being said, so that's the big news for me, a huge change. I don't think too much is going to change in the sense of what I'm doing day to day. In fact, it's going to get busier and it's going to get more interesting. So follow me for that journey and how that's going to play out. As I was saying, at the moment, I'm just filling in documents. It's also strange how this works out. And I'll share this little element is that I've wrapped things up. There's still a client or two that I need to inform, but luckily the work that I'm doing with them is very ad hoc. I'm shutting down all external operations and focusing on this as a full-time employee in January. But then there's one client that has been with me throughout the pandemic, a tough client. And initially I thought, it'll be easy to say, okay, great, I'll be moving on. But it's funny how things work out, because this tough client also recently hired a new chief operations officer, a senior person in the industry, really interesting guy, and what a down-to-earth, interesting, generous person that I started working with for only 3 weeks. And it's weird how these things work out, because if it wasn't for him, it would have been easier to say, okay, I need to move on. Not in a bad way, because I've also met great people there and it's been a great company and a great client to work for, but it would have been easier. It's funny how in a moment where I should be celebrating and really being excited about this opportunity, which I am, now there's this thing that, I'm letting this guy down. Damn it, and yeah, it's strange. I kind of play these things out, but when I spoke to them today, I haven't spoken to this specific individual yet personally, but when I spoke to the company today, the one lady that I spoke to said, like, Werner, you need to do what's right for you, or what you think is right for you. And that's true. Sometimes you need to think a little bit about yourself and what you want to do. And in my case, I also believe in taking a chance. What scares the shit out of me? That's exactly where I signed on the piece of paper. It scares me to go into an organization again. It scares me to work with a team. It scares me that, I'm going to have to focus on not letting anybody down. But then underneath all that, I'm also excited. It's a exciting scaredness. Is it making sense? Not sure. But super keen to talk more about my adventure and the organization that I'm going to be working for. And I feel like I'm going to be able to express a lot of the experience I have and also some of the creativity that I want to bring to the table. So, exciting times for me in 2022, if all goes to plan. And as for the people I mentioned in the beginning of the show, you never know how things are going to turn out. So for this moment, I really appreciate what's going on, and I'm grasping and hanging on to that moment a little bit longer. I hope something cool is happening to you and that things are looking up for you as well, especially after this gut punch year. Maybe it hasn't been a gut punch year for you. Maybe things are going honky-dory. I hope that continues, but remember, nothing lasts forever.